Hello. So I want to talk about politics. This is a topic that's been on my mind a lot lately. I'm sure it has been for a lot of people. And specifically, I've been thinking about whether or not I want to touch this topic on my channel, or in general with my career, my books, and I'd like to start a podcast someday. Is this going to be a part of it, or is this going to be sort of this thing that I put off to the side to avoid controversy? And by my nature, I'm not really someone who likes to avoid controversy. Sometimes I think I like controversy a little too much. But I am someone who wants to help people. I really want to help people, and I really feel that I have some insights based on my experiences and based on my passions that could go a really long ways to help a lot of people. But I'm also very aware that if I start bringing up things like politics, I might turn some people away. Some people who otherwise could be helped by what I have to say, otherwise be helped by my skills and my knowledge, will not even come to me for help because they will be angry at me. I will create a schism between me and other people simply by touching on some controversial topics. So ultimately, I've decided to not make politics a big part of what I do. And let me explain why. I grew up in the Washington, D.C. area, but I grew up about an hour south from Washington, D.C. in a town called Woodbridge, Virginia. If you've never heard of it, there's a good reason for that. And then I went to school in D.C., and I spent 6 years living there. And so for much of my life, politics has just been a part of it. It's just been a part of my everyday conversations. I read the newspaper, I listened to the podcasts, I watched the news, I knew everything that was going on. And I've also been a huge history fan my whole life, and so I kind of thought of it as history unfolding. I'm watching the story of history being written. That's a very academic perspective. History is not just the story of political history. It's not just the story of governments. It's a story of people. The stories of the people are more important, really. But they don't write the textbooks. They don't write the history historically. Historically, many of them couldn't even write. I'm getting off track. Washington, D.C. Politics. I have always just been a politically minded person. And in my healing journey, I've been facing this issue of trying to decide how much of that to let go. I've let go of a lot of things in my life, and that's had a very healing effect. And this is one of those things that I haven't been sure how much to let go of. I want to be an informed decision. I believe in democracy and rational discussion. But it's so clear that none of that's happening. And that the whole thing is just gridlocked and ineffective. And I believe that what's happening right now, governmentally, politically, is actually not the important story. And here's why. We are living in the post-internet age. We're going through a digital revolution. The word revolution is not a metaphor here. This is a true revolution. Historically speaking, if you look back at some previous inventions, specifically the printing press and the invention of the radio, these have had huge earthquake-like effects on geopolitical systems. The invention of the printing press completely changed how people accessed information. And that change in how they accessed information completely disrupted society. And it ultimately led to the development of Protestantism in Europe, if we're talking about the printing press example. And with the radio, eventually you could argue that the invention of the radio played a significant and important role in the rise of people like Hitler and Stalin. It's these inventions that change how we interact with information and how we interact with other people, how we are able to communicate with other people. Those inventions have totally changed things throughout history. And right now we're living through something that I think is possibly going to make the printing press look like a footnote. This is serious. This could take 100 years for us to work out. It could take 100 years for the ripple effect of the invention of the internet to fully, if it's like a pebble dropping in the water, how long does it take for that water to settle? Well, this could take easily 100 years. And so my younger self would have said, oh, I need to be informed. I need to talk about politics. It's the responsibility of every citizen in a healthy democracy, blah, 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 blah. But that whole system is from a completely different era, where people interacted with information differently, interacted with other people differently. And I just don't feel like it's even relevant anymore. I mean, it's relevant in the sense that those people could make decisions that will impact my life. That is very true. They could take away my health care. They could get us into a major war. They could take away civil liberties. There's many things that could happen that would truly impact my life. But it's clear that it's clear to me that the 15 years of my life that I paid lots of attention to politics and spent much of my emotional and psychological energy focusing on politics, it clearly didn't do anything. The world is clearly not a better place because I did that. But I experienced a lot of stress. I experienced a lot of pain. I experienced a lot of fear. And I experienced a lot of disempowerment. So I'm starting a new experiment in my life. I'm finding that politics is something of an addiction. Or maybe it's a habit, I'm not always sure. But I'm finding a hard time walking away from it. But I really want to, because I really feel that it's just a waste of emotional energy. It's a waste of mental energy. There's no, yes, they can make decisions that will negatively affect my life, but ultimately, me paying attention to it isn't going to change anything. It's not going to change anything that's over there. But it will change something right here. It'll change me. It'll change how I feel. It'll change how I interact with the world. I will be looking to fight with people, and then I'll see my neighbors as my enemies, or I'll see people on the other side of the world as my enemies, or whatever. It will build anger in myself. And that's not constructive, that's destructive by its very nature. But what will change? If I purge that stuff from my life, if I'm able to successfully do that, then I will be able to find peace within, more so than I already have. And I'll be able to use that peace to cultivate love and confidence and passion, which I can use to change people's lives for the better. I think that the disruption of the internet on democratic society, on society as a whole, is so significant that there's nothing I can do in that realm that's going to change anything. There's momentum there at play that will not be stopped. That inertia is not going away. And what's going to happen is going to happen. But I can change what happens here. I can use that energy, I can use that time, I can use that passion that was going to this other negative thing and put it towards positive things that will radically change people's lives. I know that I'm capable of radically changing people's lives. Not in the ballot box, but maybe here. Maybe through this channel. Or maybe through one-on-one working with clients. I'm studying to be a personal trainer now. Eventually I'd like to incorporate health coaching and pain management of some kind into that process through a holistic health coaching system. That's what I'm trying to work towards. So that's where my energy should go. That's where my energy should go. So I just wanted to make this video expressing that idea. I was inspired. It came to me. And I think this is just really important. I think it's time in my life to walk away from politics and understand that that is the old world. And a new world is being created. And I want to be part of creating that new world. I'm going to waste my time watching the collapse of the old world. I'm going to work my ass off to make sure that we can build something so when that thing crumbles, there's something to something here to support us. And I think that starts with us. That starts with ourselves. That starts with learning to heal ourselves. That starts with learning to take care of ourselves. That starts with knowing ourselves, truly knowing ourselves, not distracting ourselves from ourselves all the time with that very sort of media, but instead embracing our own expansion. So that's what I'm going to do. Thank you for listening. Hopefully that wasn't too much of a ramble. Subscribe, comment, all that shit.